6 p.m. discussion that we hold on our channel every single weekday for the past several months now. It is the Atmanirbhar Mission program that is in joint consideration with NewsX as well as Business World. I welcome all my guests over here. First of all, of course, Dr. Anurag Batra, who's the chairperson as well as the editor-in-chief of Business World and Exchange for Media. The other guests that are joining me today for this all-important business discussion, Atmanirbhar development discussion, is Shreya Naheta, who's the founder of Zama Organics, Ankush Sharma, who's the founder of Local Pay, Jyoti Abbas, who's the founder and CEO of INFS, also joins me on the broadcast today, Dipankar S. Haldar, who's the founder of Jalongi.com on the broadcast as well, Anup Harjani, who's the director of Epoch, who's in fact the Epoch Insurance broker on the broadcast as well. I'll welcome on everybody who has joined me today on the show, and especially Anurag Batra. Great to have you back, seeing you after some time, Anurag. And what's the agenda for today?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
That's very sweet and a little embarrassing as well, Anurag.
Is your birthday with our Prime Minister?
Yes.
Yes. I'm sure you'll do well.
Yes.
But let me go on to our panel discussion and let me bring in Shreya first. Shreya, the last 6 months have been absolutely, I don't call it the new normal, it's the new abnormal. Tell us what has happened to your business and when do you see the economy and the demand coming back? Shreya Naheta?
Yeah, so I'll start with, I'm obviously in the grocery space. So we saw a huge shift from my business before COVID was split 60% for our restaurants that we used to supply to and the HoReCa segment. And obviously that went to pretty much zero. I mean, so it was a big hit, but we ended up expanding our home delivery. So it's not the same numbers as it was before COVID, but we're still managing. We're there, we're picking up. I work directly with farmers, so luckily we didn't have supply issues. We had transport issues, but as long as we could figure out the way to get produce from them, we were able to do that. So in the middle of the lockdown where interstate was banned, we just stuck to our Maharashtrian farmers, and now everything's open. So we are getting stuff from Uttarakhand again, Himachal again. So it's been really good, and it's seeming like it's coming back for my segment in my industry. But I think overall, if we're speaking in a more general sense, it's crucial for the private and public sectors to collaborate. And it's also, in a way, you have to push yourself outside your comfort zone, innovate a bit. I think every single day over the past 6 months now, I guess, was a new challenge. Like we woke up like, okay, how do we, resolve this issue? There was so many things we had to think of on the spot and innovate and figure out how to solve the issue rather than just, realizing there's an issue and not doing anything about it. So
And Shreya, have you seen people around you benefiting from the economic stimulus?
So I think that we're a fast-growing economy. I'm an MSME company. I though have not applied for the stimulus. I think my operations changed so much from B2B to B2C, but my staff remained the same, and I couldn't risk hiring more people. So to be honest, I think there is stimuli provided to a lot of people, and I haven't personally, been one of the beneficiaries of it, but I have heard a couple of people in this space, even on the farmer level to a certain extent, I have heard that they've been getting some sort of stimulus, but I do not know more to comment on that.
And Shreya, so the farm to fork phrase is becoming a reality.
Yeah.
Also because you supply to restaurants.
Yeah.
Do you think cloud kitchens have kind of replaced the physical QSR experience for now? And is it making for the business that you lost because of both supply side disruption and demand side disruption?
Right. So I think when it comes to the restaurant side of things, our business flourished a lot more when people could go in and dine. And the reason for that is I do organic food. So not any cloud kitchen, not any QSR would want to pay that premium for organic. and the cloud kitchens and the cafes and restaurants that did were fine dining restaurants or something in the Horeca segment in the hotels. So my business hasn't particularly flourished with the cloud kitchens popping up, but I can see how this space the demand has come back.
People are looking for immunity. So eating the right food also boosts your immunity. And I'm like, I go to the Fab Cafe because I love the menu.
Yeah.
I used to go to a certain organic restaurant every day, which shut down. In fact, after the show, I'm going to call them because they should bring it back in the cloud. But let me go to Jyoti Dabas. Jyoti, you heard Ms. Nahata's comments. Tell us what has happened to your business in the last 6 months. Where do you see the business and economy going? And what is the pivot you made in your business to be relevant in the future?
Anurag, when it comes to my business, this sort of pandemic, and we are in the fitness education space, and this pandemic has been a wake-up call for a lot of people, especially those related in this space, because when the shutdown happens, physically the gyms were closed. Fortunately, I would say that the demand was still there. Like people still wanted, like you said, you yourself were going and looking at wellness products and supplements, etc. So so people, instead of going to the gym to become healthy, they started
the gym is also on the cloud. We are on the cloud, Educational institutions are on the cloud, gym is on the cloud, media is on the cloud, everything is in the cloud. Yes, go on, Jyoti.
So, people sort of adapted to their situation, and that is what this pandemic has done. And these sort of events like the pandemic does to people, that their preferences, their behavior sort of change, they shift. And for businesses, it's very important that they move with that shift. In terms of pivot, we've been around for 4 years, and we've always been an online first company. So in that sense, we didn't have to pivot, but we did see a huge demand from people who wanted to upskill themselves to learn. We provide professional certifications in nutrition and fitness. So for those who wanted a secondary income, for those who pursued fitness as a hobby, they came in and they sort of started working on their skills, and they started working on their knowledge so that they can have supplementary income now going forward, because given how the job cuts are happening all around, especially IT sector and other sectors.
How much is your business impacted? Suppose in February it was 100. Where is it currently?
The growth has been 3 times since. So it's on the positive side. A lot of people are accepting upskilling online, whereas earlier it used to be in a classroom sort of setting even for professional courses, but now they see the value of staying at home and then getting those professional certifications and then using them to further enhance their income levels.
Thank you so much, Jyoti. We'll come back to you. It's good to know that some businesses have grown, because eventually they'll provide employment. They also provide a hope to other people, and they do impact the economy. Dipankar, your opening comments on how has been your business impacted? Where do you see going it from now? IPL is around the corner, 2 days away from now. Diwali is 2 months away. We will see temporary demand coming back, but do you see this demand sustaining? Dipankar Haldar?
Yeah, for us, I think we have also grown almost 4 times, pre-COVID and post-COVID, because we are in food business, and in efficiency food obviously is our immunity food. So I think the challenge was more on the supply side, because we work with perishables, with the logistical issues, the markets, trading market, auction markets are not opening. So we had those challenges, but I think overall, I would say that this possibly has been in a different way, has been a period of learning for us to get stronger, and I think we are more confident than what we used to be about this business and about running the show and growing the business. So we had a few discoveries which are very positive. We found, because we actually procure from the villages and those hinterlands of Bengal, Orissa and other places for our fish. And we actually really found that local government, the police and even the authorities, they were like they surprised us. So every time we are in a trouble because we are in a food business, or because of a lot of people
were more sensitive, compassionate, and they tried to help you because it was a new situation for you and for them. And when I'm talking to you, what I'm being reminded is, one, my father is vegetarian, I'm not vegetarian, and when he would bring food for us and mother and my sister, he would always say, fish is jal tori. You're also
right.
And second is, my mother taught me the months that are good for fish. So otherwise the fish are breeding. Don't eat fish in the months there's no R. And on 20th, I grew up in Old Gurgaon. On 20th, there is a certain fish shop that opens up in Gurgaon. And I'm especially going to eat there. So, I'm sure there are people who are missing their delicacies. That's the point I'm trying to make. And through e-commerce and through delivery of food at your home, I think they are being able to consume their palate as well as do it in a manner that it's safe for everyone. But tell me, the next 6 months are going to be very busy for you. Most months are in them. So
it's. I think that sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so this whole art thing is a very northern Delhi story,
Yes.
So basically, it's because. But I think if you talk to anybody in Calcutta or in those areas, coastal areas,
lots of friends, lots.
Obviously, so the people do it fish eggs. Sorry, if I'm offending the vegetarians. So all I'm saying is that yes, and it's actually there are logistical challenges which happens in this part of the time. So I think for us, I would say that we had been one of the few companies because of our the operating model. We have not shut down even for a single day.
Absolutely. Food business has kept all of us going. Media has kept all of us going. So content.
And I would like to share the little thing which is about I think because I come from a very traditional retail background. I used to be at Walmart, and so I'm a brick and mortar retail guy. I used to work for Walmart.
Haven't heard of. No, I'm kidding.
Bharti Walmart is where I've set up this Easy Day stores for them. So we while a lot of these e-commerce players, they have built a lot of the partnerships and the virtuals, outsource employees. I was not, because I'm a gray-haired entrepreneur, and then I didn't want to kind of go for a high growth and just having that outsource partnership. I had most of my things actually sitting within that company, and I'll tell you that that's the reason why we didn't close even for a day. Yes, I had a difficulty in convincing them, giving them a kind of assurance that okay, I will take care of you guys, and if there is any problem, all the drivers and the people, we have around 70-80 people organization, and that was the initial challenge. But after that, and I think it's basically because we have everything in-source model, we didn't really suffer. We are not dependent on others, and that really helped us to kind of keep the shop open or keep this business open for every day.
Has there been a loss to the ecosystem of fishermen? We talk of bottom of the pyramid in every business. You saw what happened to the migrant labor. In the initial months, was there a loss of income for these fishermen and people down the street?
Yes, it was, obviously, because they were not allowed to see. Most of these businesses happen through the auction markets or a kind of the trading market, which is, there are primary, secondary auction markets in this. So they were not, in fact, forget about early days. In Bengal, last month there were 6 days of lockdown where those markets are not operating. So what happens?
Impact their livelihood.
So not only those 6 days, because the days before, 6 days plus there are 4 days before that, because some of them were like the 2 days at a time, those kind of lockdown. So 6 plus 4, 10 days, the wholesale markets were not operating at all.
And as you rightly said, it's a perishable commodity. Really, the loss is immediate.
We had I think something interesting happened during the initial months where, through the Principal Secretary of Fisheries in Bengal, and we came to know that we were, getting it directly from the fishermen is very difficult, because there are a lot of coteries which happen in between. There are the Artiyas, there are, the money lenders who are there.
Agents. Artiyas translates into commission.
So those guys will not let this farmer sell directly to somebody like us.
So why Dipankar, I've never ordered from your site, but I encourage our viewers and to order from jalongi.com. And I'm going to order one of these days from your site.
Oh yeah, you tell me your favorite fish and I'll have it sent in. We are the ones.
Yeah. And I would say go to restaurant Shriya supplies to. And if you want to be, I know I lost 20 kgs in 2014 by just following a nutritional therapist's advice and cured everything that I still am, I still need to do it again. But let me at this bring in Ankush Sharma. Ankush, tell us, how has your business been impacted and where do you see it going in the next few months? And do you see the business and economy coming back fast in its full bloom?
So basically, Anurag, there are two different views of mine, because as a product owner or a startup founder, I'm also a chartered accountant where I usually understand some numbers. So I'll put my points like the industry I belong, that is the florist industry as of now. We are in an industry of giving solution to the blue collar people, which is the biggest problem and biggest challenge right now. The government is also focusing on the same. So like our PM said, aapda ko avshar mein badalna, we have done that. So we are coming with a solution. We are
turning problems into opportunity.
Right. So where we are saying that this is the biggest problem I have seen since pandemic. The most difficult and the most challenging thing was that the migrant workers, where all the newspapers, news channels and all the government, everybody was worried, individual was worried if they can do something, they can offer something to those people. So right now, this is of course there are 227 million workforce which belong from the rural India. They came back to their home places. We have seen they are coming back to their home. Now there's a big challenge to them, how they can feed their family. That is the biggest challenge, and everybody is trying to resolve this issue as soon as possible. We have to. We are having this responsibility as an individual or a government. So in my industry, the thing is that we are trying to provide them the basic earning or livelihood in their nearby areas. That's why we called it local pay, because we are arranging the livelihood in local areas. So there is still a lot of job opportunities, lot of work opportunities in small cities, but there's no platform where people can find out those opportunities. I'm giving you an example. There's just shari shop in a small tier 3 city, tier 4 city. They need a shop helper. They don't have any platform where they can find those people.
Fantastic. Ankush, I would encourage everyone watching this broadcast to use Ankush Sharma's platform to be able to help the ecosystem around them. So Ankush, kudos to you. I keep saying that this pandemic has taught us that every business needs to be a social impact business. Social impact businesses don't need to be in a different category. And I keep saying Mother Teresa was the world's first social impact entrepreneur without being called so. Tatas have been doing social impact throughout their journey of being the largest industrial group in India. So clearly you're doing something that is very relevant. It helps a large bottom of the pyramid, and it has a multiplier impact. I also want to congratulate our government and Prime Minister for providing food to the people at bottom of the pyramid, because otherwise there will be a social unrest. So we know that the economy is weak, but I'm sure as the government starts to spend in the next few months, we will see a better economy. Mr. Harjani, airport insurance, travel insurance, tell us a bit about what you do and what has happened to your business in the last 6 months. Of course, travel, hospitality have been decimated. Only in the last few weeks, air transport has been allowed. The numbers are picking up, but still there is a fear of going out. So how has it impacted your business? Let us know, Mr. Harjani.
First, let me tell you a little about what insurance brokers do. We are a bridge between a client and an insurance company. We try our best to optimize inputs from our clients so that the best solution is given from an insurance company to that client's requirement. Now, when we begin with the idea of pre-COVID days, well, we were doing pretty well. The industry was thriving and everything was going A1, and we were also sliding and moving along wonderfully well. But during the period of complete lockdown, there was a lull in manufacturing activity. There was a problem relating to closure of certain big industries. And whenever the premiums became due, they decided not to opt for insurances for some time. I give you an idea about this growth pattern. In a way, up to 30th June, the insurance industry was in a negative growth frame, which was close to -8%. And as on 31st August, we have risen to a very good level. We are close to 1% plus growth. You can very easily visualize that in the last 2 months, when the industry has started reopening, there are many new industries which have also picked up well. Insurance premium, which was being withheld for obvious reasons, is now being paid very easily, and with the relaxed norms of installment payment of premium, there are situations where the growth is now picking up. In fact, the health insurance has grown by leaps and bounds by as much as 26% in the last 5 months. For very obvious reasons, people got scared of the pandemic, and then
there are new products like COVID insurance.
Very right.
In fact, there was a person who similar to your line of work, and all he does is to sell health insurance and COVID insurance and pet insurance. It's a new product. I mean, pet insurance. I was worried, I was confused. Shall I take health insurance, COVID insurance, or the pet insurance? Because I'm the pet in my home. So I was a little confused, but that's another story. Go on, tell us more serious stuff.
Now, in the given scenario, what has happened is that short-term COVID policies have become very rampant. They are being
it's a new product. Insurance
new product have come up, and then there was a notional ambiguity about the original Mediclaim policy covering those expenses of quarantine at home. So that
which it didn't.
And then the confusion was clarified to a little extent by the regulators, who gave a directive of trying to take a liberal view of things. But anyway, what is not in print, you know, insurance are not very savvy about paying up just like that. But anyway, the COVID policies took special care about those ambiguities, and all those payments are being given wonderfully in quick time and most efficiently by these insurance companies. And also there was a lull in the motor insurance premium earlier because of stopping of transport.
Personal private transport, but August has brought them back. In Delhi, 90% traffic is back. The auto sales, especially two-wheeler sales in August, have been so people want personal mobility. So we understand that while there has been a loss on certain counts of traditional insurance products, some part of it has been made up by new products like COVID insurance, auto insurance is coming back, health insurance has grown. So thank you for sharing that with us. Megha, why don't you come in and ask a few questions?
Right, absolutely. I was listening very intently to all the guests who had to share and all the business persons who had to share what their experience has been during the pandemic. And I was particularly interested in Zama Organics, Shreya, because I got the opportunity to also speak with one of your perhaps competitors, if you may call it, because Big Basket, the CEO over there, the founder CEO, Hari Menon, and he also was speaking about how he has had to bring about a complete change, a cyclical change from how how things used to be before the pandemic, supply chain dynamics that had to be changed, and how he went ahead and procured a lot of these employees, these contractual workers, because most of them, I think 80% of their workforce had gone about to their native homes, and that was the one big problem they had to control, because the demand was rising, but they did not have people and they did not have those supply logistic, and even though they were called this essential services providers, they did not have the right equipment, they did not have the supply chain logistics at place, and also at the ground level there was a lack of information, lack of awareness amongst the police officer. Were you also facing similar issues? How did you fight, especially when it comes to the employee, the contractual workers? That are, I think, the most important. I think it will also work for Dipankar. I think it's good. This problem is going to be twofold, and Dipankar must face the same set of issues.
Yeah. So, in some way, with some luck on my side, a lot of my packers / delivery boys were already in-house, even before COVID, like since the last 2 years, since staying at our warehouse, because farm produce could come at any point in the night. It could come at 12 a.m., it could come at 4 a.m., it could come at 8 p.m., which would mean I'd need somebody there all the time to, at least receive things and sign it off.
Yeah.
And I couldn't just leave one person in charge because that's unfair. So what we did was we got a space for everyone to stay in just above the warehouse.
Okay.
So when COVID hit, at least that initial issue of transport for my packers and delivery boys and warehouse staff was gone. And of course, I cannot compare myself to Big Basket. I think we're like a 1 millionth size of what they are. So when I say they were staying there, I had 10 people staying there. And it was just that. It was just those 10 people managing the show for 3 to 4 months of lockdown. And there was a lot of uncertainty on what kinds of passes we needed, what we needed to put on our van. We got stopped oftentimes, and then they were like, okay, you don't have this, you don't have that. But I do have to admit that all the police were very helpful. They were very informative. Like they would tell you, okay, you don't have this, we're letting you go, but please, organize this and this is how you can get it. Eventually all my staff had passes, and it was scary, I think, in the beginning, because no one really knew how you actually contracted and what the virus. I think there was so much ambiguity, but I have to say my staff kind of rallied through it, and we kept our heads up and just did our best. I think we must have had, I think the day the lockdown was announced, and this is like honestly because we were predominantly supplying to restaurants and we had our home delivery section.
Okay.
But we used to get a lot of orders on WhatsApp, etc. to home deliver. The day the lockdown was announced, we woke up with a backlog of about 400 orders. And it took us at least a week and a half to cover it because farmers weren't able to harvest all this stuff in one go without the labor, the daily wage workers that come to their farm and harvest. And there was a lot of backlog. And at one point, people were just happy to wait. They were like, we'll wait 10 days, we'll wait 1 week, just send the stuff whenever you get it.
Right.
So I think there was a lot of understanding 360 degrees in this whole time.
Absolutely.
Yes, you know what, you and Dipankar are telling us that the 3C economy kick in. I keep saying we live in a 3C economy. It doesn't include the word COVID. COVID is the most used word of 2020. The second most used word of 2020 is unmute. And
yes,
the third
as
is
we have witnessed on several of our shows.
But we live in a 3C economy which is compassionate and caring. In this time, people have shown a lot of compassion. They've shown internally, externally, people have been super kind. Second is a contactless. We're doing this show. Normally I would be in the studio, Megha would be in the studio. I'm doing it from my home, she's doing it from her home. And last but not the least, the collaborative economy. Today, we all have to collaborate with each other to be able to fulfill the aspirations of our customer and internal customers, our employees. So I think we're moving to that. Jyoti, I want to ask you, has the number of people seeking certification to be nutritional experts gone up? If yes, by what number?
Anurag, just basis on the search term in Google's that you've also mentioned that people are looking for immunity and similarly. So nutrition as a profession has been, one of the highest search. So people search for how to be a dietitian, how to be a nutritionist.
Nutritional therapist.
Nutritional therapist.
My nutritional therapist, she's a coach. We even published a book called Restore. She has a column in BW Business World. So she's a nutritional therapist and a health coach. She's not a nutritionist. In fact, she ticks me off if I ever say that. So I'm just checking you.
Right. So, so this has been because the information, or there is a lot of content on the internet. So for someone who wants to understand nutrition, just going through the internet, people think that they're experts and they know all about their health. But when it comes to advising people professionally, you need to get a professional certification in that. And the number of searches has gone up by 5 times on this particular search term since the beginning of COVID. And even globally, there are people who are looking for this, to enter this profession, because firstly, it's a work from home, gig that you can do, because you can advise clients online. And these days, that's the thing that everyone is pivoting to. A lot of work from home, mothers who are looking for work from home jobs, they look at this as an opportunity.
I call them the home
entrepreneurs. Right, so they look at this as an opportunity. People who are out of jobs, the fitness trainers who are out of jobs because of gyms closing, they are looking to upskill themselves, and this is an opportunity for them if they include.
What give us a sense through numbers? So if it was 100, give us a sense through numbers. If it was 100, is it 500, 1,000? Is it 2 times? What? Give a sense.
Okay, in terms of just numbers, right? So there were like 60,000 search terms, pre-COVID. And it's crossed 3 lakh in terms of just the people who are searching for these services. Now we as a company, we don't do a lot of Google advertisement, or we don't go by that route, but we do monitor these terms, and all our growth has been through word of mouth. So all our professionals have heard about us through in their network, and so they have
reputation and impact has got you new.
Right,
Ankush,
right.
Ankush, tell us what has been the impact. How many jobs have you been able to provide through your platform? Give us some stories
so
that will inspire all
there
of us.
are demand is of course. So if I'll talk about, I'll give you a small story about one person who is very happy right away we have done that. So the person belongs from Bihar. They go back to their Bihar. They were working earlier in Delhi. So it was the thing that most of the crowd from Bihar and UP migrate to other states because it's having a big number. So the people is now, they are not in a position to go back to Delhi and resume the work. So they are looking around the work. So we provide the work to them in the nearby areas, Patna or Jharkhand places. And they were the same amount which they were getting in Delhi earlier. They are working here, and they are saying that now I will not go Delhi further because I already got what I was doing earlier that time, and I am very near to my family also. So this is happening in 2 ways actually. One thing, they are earning the livelihood, and another thing, migration is already also decreasing. So if we will able to decrease 2%, even 2% migration, we will feel ourselves we are a successful company.
Anurag, carry on with this discussion. We were obviously discussing about numbers.
We were talking to Anup Harjani, and so we let Anup tell us about what's happening in this sector and how are consumers adopting new products, if I may say. Anup?
Yes, it's like this. We as brokers, we are doing wonderfully well, for the simple reason that despite the business, insurance business not increasing much in the first 3 months, but now coming up to terms, but we have adopted a technology platform whereby a portal is able to give an idea of different comparisons of various products across various insurance companies in 10 seconds flat. This kind of input from us is taking us to places. And in the last 2 months, we have aggregated an exponential growth of over 25%, despite the sluggish insurance growth. But the insurance growth, as I said in the earlier part of my discussion, has now come to terms. It has become 1% plus from -6 3 months back, and things are looking up wonderfully well, and they are looking up much better for us because of this the portal that we have developed in the last 3 months. So we have benefited immensely from that technological advancement, and our clients are also distinctly happy about this change. And insurance companies, 34 of them, 4 or 5 in the public sector and 28 in the private sector, are also vying continuously to build up a technological platform more on the retail side, so that retail customers keep coming in regularly, and their hopes, their inputs have been wonderfully paying, because in the last 15-20 days, the growth has been more than 20% for all the insurance companies. And
that's good to know. That's good to know.
And the benefit is on us, because we are contributing via that portal to many big corporates who had the first feel of this portal, which is an innovative portal developed for the first time by only a couple of such brokers across the country.
Thank you, Mr. So we'll come back to you. Dipankar, at this stage, let me ask you, and I'll ask this question to everyone on the panel, and I'll ask this to Megha also, is what's the one thing as an entrepreneur, Dipankar, you learned in the last 190 days that will hold you in good stead throughout your life? What, as an entrepreneur, is a new skill that you acquired, a new mindset that you acquired? Tell our viewers so that other entrepreneurs and people watching this broadcast can also learn from you. Dipankar Halder, you'll have to unmute yourself, Dipankar. We're trying to unmute the economy, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, oh yeah, I did, sorry, yeah. So, okay, it might sound stupid, but I think what I learned more in this period is listening.
Not stupid.
Yeah, so it's basically, I think you need to stay in touch with your team. I think, if I put like that, there are 3 or 4, I think 5 or 6 things that I can talk about, which basically is important, or which was useful for me to survive in this period, or my company to survive. Firstly, is really stay committed to your purpose. In terms of, so basically you need to keep on kind of pumping yourself that, it's okay, everything will be okay, and you're going to get over, we'll find a solution. Nothing is going to stop. We are a young company, so obviously, what you have that, you don't have the delivery boys coming in, you don't have the fish coming in, you don't have the kind of, ability to send it to. So there's a kind of constant, the uncertainty. So we have possibly have learned to kind of handle uncertainty much better. I have learned to listen better, because you are not with your team, and I think when you are the team is working from all over the places. Unless you are listening very carefully, unless you are listening in a real manner, it doesn't really work. Because so you need to be staying connected with your team all the time. There's 60-70 people directly, indirectly that we have in our team. We needed to be connected with them all the time. And that is what I think I listen better, I would say, in this 6 months better than I used to be. When I used to be a kind of CEO of a company or that kind of stuff, possibly people used to listen to more. I think now I listen better, and that actually makes the teamwork come together much better than before it used to.
So much, both the things you said about listening and being able to deal with, if I may say, ambiguity, use the word ambiguity. I think the most important quality in an entrepreneur is to be able to deal with ambiguity. If you can deal with ambiguity, and you can thrive. So beautiful thing you said, I agree both. That's why Megha is so successful. She's doing listening, I'm doing the talking. Clearly she's smarter than me.
I'm following in Dr. Batra's footsteps.
So I want to be smart too. So Jyoti Rabas, what have you learned as an entrepreneur in the last 6 months, which will help you do well in your life and as an entrepreneur?
Anurag, I would agree with Dipankar, but I would add to that. If you permit, I'll add two things which I've learned in this in the last 6 months. First is, as an entrepreneur, you need to have when you're hiring resources for your company, you need to hire an A team for yourself, and that comes with experience, and that is a very tough nut to crack because. Initially you would always think that firstly you would try to do everything for your business, and the challenge there is that all the decisions sort of end up waiting for you to sort of be there to making that decision, and therefore you need to have people who are ready and who challenge you and who are up to that level, who you can trust that they can take those decisions. So having an A team is first. And second, I would say that for a young company, the entrepreneur needs to be an evangelist for their own brand. And that is the sort of the new normal. You can say that you need, as the head of the company, you need to be more active on social media channels, on the various opportunities that you get to talk about your company, your brand, what you're doing to change things for other people for the better. So the sort of social entrepreneurship that you touched upon. So, it is uncomfortable at times to, take the public face, but you need to be able to do that to push your brand and your company forward. So those are the two things.
Thank you so much. Shreya Naheta. Okay, sorry. My apologies. I mispronounced your name earlier. I got it right now. Naheta, what are your top learnings?
So I think, from day one, there were so many things that changed day to day. Being able to pivot, which I think both of them have mentioned, is the top takeaway, and then being able to make decisions, your team and you yourself included, on the spot. You don't have the luxury of time to take, 2-3 weeks to
faster decision
done. And it's trained me to make faster decisions, because you have to do it now and you have to get it done and cleared, because the next day can be problem number 500, and you can't have a backlog of the days before. And honestly, there is no change is the only constant, right? So at some point we have to admit that, and we have to get into a continuity and obviously keep the mission and vision intact, but be open to pivoting and not being rigid about certain things around you, and take those on the spot decisions.
Thank you, Shreya.
Yeah.
What you said is have an open mind. Mind is like a parachute, it only works when it's open. Second is faster decision making.
Yeah.
You need to take more decisions and you need to take them on the go. Ankur Sharma, your lockdown lessons, if I may say.
Yeah, so basically I'll share two things which I think it should, I learned and I got benefited from that. One thing is that
one is not to shave daily and save the money that you spend on the
I think you can say as so basically I can say there's one thing which is the team with whom we are working, they are having one vision, because when the vision get different, it start creating
alignment
problems.
of objectives. Vision is a little too fuzzy.
Yes, yes. Alignment of objectives should be there, right?
I would say alignment to the objectives that you as a founder and your core team as
yes, that should be. And another thing is that the actionable thing, not only the planning and busting the thing, it should be immediately converted into action. So we should not.
Ideation is good, but ultimately execution has become even more important in COVID.
Right. So maybe there can be some mistakes, but we can learn immediately. We should not wait long for learning.
I so agree with you.
Yeah.
Mr. Sharma.
Yeah.
Mr. Harjani, your lockdown lessons, if I may say.
So, just to keep some numerics in, I have spent 41 years with the insurance industry, and during these 3 months, we emphasized on the need for developing a portal which was a dream. We could, because of this, we decided to expedite this whole thing in such a manner that
the digital officer of most companies, COVID
that's
is
true.
Transformation officer, digital officer.
And we wonderfully utilize this time for upgrading this technology, and now we are reaping the fruits of this increased business, where we have very few competitors of this kind. And then not only the insurance companies are feeling very happy about us, but the clients all the more have felt that they are in very safe.
First of all, Anup, let me tell you, if you look at Bollywood, never say never. Boman Irani turned an actor in the late 40s. So, you know, if you started after 41 years of being in the industry, it's okay. It's the right time. You know,
no, I have spent 41 years in the industry, starting at 24. So,
given away your age, it's not a good thing. I won't give away Megha's age. I told her at the start of the
age is only a number. I would say
it is a real number. We can keep
and
I want to ask Megha. You do this. You're on television every day. You talk to people from, you know, the governance domain, from the foreign affairs domain, to entrepreneurs. What's been your top learning as a media professional, Megha Sharma?
Yes, I've been hearing all of you, all these learned people from varied fields, be it foreign affairs, be it politics, be it entrepreneurs especially. One thing that I've definitely learned, even as a part of an organization, and how to go about going from strength to strength instead of you know, denigrating or degenerating because of the coronavirus pandemic. This is the situation. The nature of the situation is such that you cannot meet every day. Physical contact is extremely difficult. Communication lines, like you've already mentioned, a number of these entrepreneurs who are during the debate at this point of time have mentioned, you know, keep communicating. That's the key point. Stay motivated. Staying motivated yourself and motivating your peers, your juniors, and also talking to your seniors all the time really works. That's one thing that I've definitely learned and imbibed from my bosses as well. Second thing is, obviously the most important, I think, even before communication, it comes is building your core team, because at the end of the day, those are the people on the shoulders of which you're going to go ahead and build your organization or business or any particular entity that you're taking forward. So that's those are two big important points.
You're saying all the right. I'd say the third point you said is relationships. It's time to build relationships or strengthen relationships, not just do commerce or business. Absolutely. Second, what you are saying is self-care. You know, at the end of the self-care is very important. And third, you're saying the power of communication. That's extremely important. I would say one must over-communicate.
Yeah.
Under-communication has its peril.
Totally.
Of course, I would add my own is one, never say never. If I said to all of you 7 months back that all of us will work from home, you'd be asking me, what are you smoking? I don't think you'd ask me now. Second is, you know, you have to adapt very fast. You have to be agile, you have to be resilient. And the third thing I would say is that what matters is how you reimagine your life, your business, and you reimagine the way you see things. If you do that, I think you'd be in a good place. I want to end the show by asking all of panelists a quick question, and I want a short answer and an honest answer on it. My question is, when do you see the Indian economy coming back in full bloom? In 6 months, 12 months, or more than 18 months? Let me start with you, Mr. Harjani. When do you see the Indian economy coming back in full bloom?
In 6 to 8 months, positively.
Okay, maybe by March 2021, and hopefully 21-22 will be a good year. Dipankar Haldar?
I would believe that it will take about a year and a half. So we will take possibly the whole of 2020 to come back, because there are a lot of things are broken, and it's broken in a. I just saw a report of World Bank, and I think they mentioned that it will take 5 years. So I'm not saying 5 years, but I think we'll take a good to 2021 to come back to a place.
Okay, Ankush Sharma.
So according to me, it will be somewhere from July 2021. So it's 9 months to 12 months we will be able to establish ourselves in a better way.
Shreya Naheta. Shreya, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Sorry. I would think a year as well, to be honest, because while we're all vocal for local and that's coming in and kicking in, it will be a year until we can see that upside.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Shreya. You have the final word, Jyoti Dabas. When do you see the Indian economy coming back in full bloom?
It's very difficult to say, and all the experts, are giving a very long timeline, which is sort of, and entrepreneurs are known to be positive species. But I would say the worst is behind us, which is more important. I think each day is going to be better than the previous day.
How many months? 6, 12, or more than that?
It might take more than 12 months.
Okay. Megha Sharma, your point of view, and I'll give you quickly my point of view. My point of view is 6 months after the COVID vaccine is found. That's a good answer because but overall it will take 12 to 18 months to come. Megha Sharma, back to you, and I'd like to know, what do you think when the economy will come back?
Well, hopefully, I think you've given the right answer, Dr. Batra. It's yes, definitely when the vaccine comes into picture, things are going to look better. Perhaps a year, latter end of 2021. But the World Bank has also gone ahead and shown a pessimistic side of saying 5 years is when the entire economy will go back to its pre-pandemic
That's when the last person on the earth will get the COVID vaccine.
Absolutely, 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 and that's exactly how it's going to happen. But on that note, I thank all my guests for joining me on this very insightful session about how businesses, smaller businesses are going ahead and recouping from this coronavirus pandemic. All is not in the gloomy way. In fact, there are green shoots that are emerging, as we have witnessed from the horse's mouth right here on NewsX Business World initiative, the Atmanirbhar Bharat mission.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.